the dangerous, the silly, and the downright wacky. We've scoured the globe to find some examples of the worst bike lanes in the world. Some of these will make you roll your eyes, and the first two will certainly leave you shaking your head. But our last example shows how good bike lanes can and should be done. Here we are then, 13 of the world's worst bike lanes. 1. A Moronic cycle lane. First up, it's this Moronic cycle lane from Edinburgh, Scotland. This one gets our goat. It's not something you'd expect to deal with when driving a car along the road. So why do cyclists have to put up with this kind of ill-thought-out infrastructure? Heaven only knows. The design is thanks to the route needing to pass bus stops and loading bays, apparently. Some super internet sleuthing reveals that Edinburgh City Council saw the error of their ways and submitted plans to alter the route in 2023. 2. Caution, obstruction. If it's not someone getting creative with the spray paint, arguably the second worst type of bike lane is one peppered with obstructions. From streetlights to pot plants, concrete bollards to trees. We've seen it all. But this bike lane in Romania is perhaps the most famous. Whilst canny observers have said that the tree was there first, that shouldn't have stopped the bike lane designers from routing around the tree. Hey ho, painting an arrow on the tree will improve things, right? 3. This way? Yeah, right. Core, a lovely, well-surfaced, well-marked cycleway straight into a building site. Whilst London's recent increase in cycling infrastructure has been rightly praised, this bike lane isn't great, is it? Maybe the hoardings to this development located on the River Thames have now been taken down. Here's hoping. 4. Follow the arrow. Signage by its very definition should be helpful, but you have to feel somewhat sorry for the poor soul who was tasked with spraying this poor bike lane onto the road. This one is from the outskirts of Edinburgh, Scotland. And whilst we're at it, that picture of the bike shouldn't be repeated anywhere else. What a shocker. 5. Paint equals bike lane. Okay. Any attempt to add some sort of bicycle infrastructure to today's car-orientated roads should be applauded. But when this is the kind of thing that some people think constitutes a bike lane, we need to say something. When riding, cars passing in close proximity, even at low speeds, can be quite off-putting. That's why simply whacking out a paintbrush and daubing some white lines on the tarmac shouldn't be regarded as creating a bicycle lane. The best bicycle lanes are completely segregated from traffic and, depending on the exact design, are comfortable enough for riders to pass each other, sometimes in both directions. This shocker is from Louisville, Kentucky, and given it dates back to the early 2010s, we're hoping it's long since been changed. 6. Short, but not sweet. Why don't cyclists use bicycle lanes? Exhibit A, Your Honour. This minute bicycle lane is from a location that's already appeared in our list of the worst bike lanes in the world, Edinburgh in Scotland. We'd challenge even the most militant of cycle lane users to hop off the main road and enjoy the mere 5 metres of pedalling freedom before being unceremoniously dumped back onto the road. 7. That narrow? Still in England, but further south now in Birmingham. Narrow cycle lanes usually involve a thin ribbon of paint, and this example is no different. Whilst the lane on its own is acceptably wide, this post on X shows just how incredibly narrow the bike lane becomes when a tram comes past. Definitely not enough for a rider and bike. Back to the drawing board for this one, we feel. 8. The roller coaster. Over to Hungary in the small town of Koroman to something that will get all you engineering types twitching. A raised roadway and a bike lane at a slightly lower level left the planners with no option but to add these rather extraordinary larger bumps every 5 metres or so. Was it to facilitate the drainage of the road, or even as exit and entry points to other routes? Whatever the reason, it certainly doesn't make a great bike lane. Yes, riding it on a mountain bike might be fun, but when you want to get from A to B, home to office, this kind of forced fun really isn't appreciated. What we will give the planners points for is the lane's segregations and clear markings. 9. The scenic route. Going by bike is hard enough, out in all weather mixing it up with other road users. But when planners make you ride further than you need to, well, that's just a kick in the teeth. Cyclists in North Yorkshire, England are the unfortunate recipients of this bike lane. 10. Electric cars, eh? Marketed as the planet's saviour, electric cars can sometimes be the scourge of bike lanes too. This example from an unknown location shows the hazards of on-street or at-home electric car charging. We're wincing at the thought of riding along and becoming entangled in that. 11. Wacky races. Like imitating Mario Kart in real life? Like adding a sense of jeopardy to your daily bike ride? Give this bike lane a go. Our first entry from South America, via Vicencio, Colombia to be exact. That drain cover just looks like the perfect width for swallowing bicycle tyres. 12. Downright bizarre. Up in the northern part of England now, and this downright bizarre cycle lane in Halifax, West Yorkshire. Although it's less bike lane and more bike parking, Calderdale Council, the local government department that painted the lane, said it had been designed to meet national guidelines. One local quipped, "It's a magical Calderdale force field for bikes. You can leave your bike and it won't get nicked." 13. Wait, what? The 13th and final bike lane on our blacklist is this sign-ridden nightmare from Ascoli in the Marche, central Italy. Whilst we'll give the designers plenty of points for the bright green, smooth-looking surface, they ruined things as soon as they lifted their white paint out of the van. Okay, we can see what they were trying to achieve, but what's wrong with a simple T-junction or intersection? And now, something to put your mind at ease. A well-designed cycle lane showing it is entirely possible to create bicycle infrastructure that makes it safer and more pleasant to ride a bike. This newly constructed cycle path, well, relatively new anyway, it was finished in 2019, connects the city centre with Birmingham University and Selly Oak. A beautiful ribbon of blue, the bi-directional lane, 4 kilometres in length, is completely separated from the busy road traffic plying its way around the A38 into and out of Birmingham. At intersections and junctions, signs and road markings are clear and concise. Well done, Birmingham City Council.